with an update on Roman Reigns' title run and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Speaking about what he initially heard as the plan for Lesnar versus Lashley III, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, the story of the match is that Lashley totally dominated him, but Lesnar won the match. It leads to their 1-1 now, and there's a natural third match. I don't know if they're going to save it for WrestleMania, or I don't know when. Originally, it was going to be day 1, but obviously that's out. I don't know if they'll do it at Survivor Series. I'm not sure where they'll do it. They may do it in Montreal, or they may save it for Mania. Taking to Twitter to post about the death of actor and singer Aaron Carter, Kayla Braxton wrote, "Damn, R.I.P. Aaron Carter. Addiction is a horrible sickness. I hate he wasn't able to beat it." With her deleting the post due to backlash, she then said, "I apologize if I spoke out of turn mentioning Aaron Carter's addiction leading to his death. It's what I was told, but I don't want to spread false information. I know he's been working hard to overcome addiction. Regardless, very sad news. I was always rooting for him." It would be reported in regards to the situation that law enforcement sources tell TMZ homicide detectives have been dispatched to the scene, but we have no information or evidence of foul play. It's standard operating procedure for homicide detectives to investigate such death scenes. Talking about Sami Zayn's recent Usi segment from SmackDown with the Bloodline, Jim Cornette had this to say about the star on his podcast. "Let me tell you something. I never thought that I would say this, but I think now Sami Zayn is my favorite person to watch on television. El Generico certainly wasn't, but Sami Zayn is incredible. And this whole thing with the Bloodline and the Usos and Usis, he's turned it into his own weaselish delivery. And he's such a convincing, toting, stoogey, flunky type of disingenuous. I mean, all the adjectives and nouns and verbs and adverbs you can come up with. He's great. And you can tell he's a weasel, but he's such an entertaining weasel that he's becoming the biggest baby face in the business. He puts his hand over his face and Roman said, no, come on back here. Come on back here." When he's doing that, Roman sounds like The Rock talking to him. He has that. Not even the same kind of tone in his voice, but same kind of inflection or delivery or whatever what I'm trying to say. But anyway, Roman says if you can't find your inner Usi again, we're going to make Sami Zayn a full-blown Uso and then Sami Uso. And the people start chanting and Jay is dying. What a segment. You can tell they've all worked on this together because it's not just the writers giving them they're all in on it. They're working together with it. They're coming up with some good and people want to know what's going to happen next. And sooner or later, Sami Zayn will be a huge babyface and potentially even in a main event against Roman Reigns in some shape or form. But that was a heck of a segment. Speaking about Bryan Danielson's run in AEW so far, former WWE writer Freddie Prinze Jr. said on his podcast that Bryan Danielson has been underserviced as far as character development and story goes. "I feel like he has been underserviced in his matches. I feel like he's lost more matches than he's needed to lose. I feel like his motivation for wrestling hasn't been written as well as it could be written. It's become a part of his backstage interviews where there's a little bit of people questioning his motivation and not his toughness, so to speak, but just his reasoning and rationale. And this son of a bitch has had enough." When asked what he does to stay in great shape, Braun Strowman told WWE Alon that the secret is just work, consistency, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning every day, doing an hour of cardio. I eat 20 egg whites and 4 cups of oatmeal for breakfast, and then I go to train at the gym for around 2 to 3 hours. Then I usually like eating sushi for my post-workout meal. I have 50 pieces of tuna sashimi and 4 bowls of rice. And then every about 2.5-3 hours, I eat between 10 ounces and 12 ounces of cooked beef, chicken, and fish, and between a 150 and 400 gram of rice. Taking to Twitter, Braun Strowman had this to say about his match against Omos. "Holy hell, Omos, can you believe we got 47 5-stars?" and reminded the people that no one cares about all these floppy floppers. Giants and monsters are better than flippy flipper bag your groceries at Kroger. A fan replied writing, "All those flippy floppers can wrestle circles around you and Omos." Strowman wrote back, "Haha, really? Because they'd be in the main cards in Saudi, but instead they are at a," with a photo that says "Shh Indie Disco." A fan then wrote, "Weren't you in a Shh Indie not too long ago?" Braun replied, "Nah, I put on class act CYN shows that sold out every building we were in. Wherever I go, the prow follow. You're just naive to realize, and that's okay. We all grow up one day." Another fan wrote, "Definitely way more believable and watchable than a glorified gymnastics routine. I'd rather watch two huge giants beat the crap out of each other than watch flippy shh all night." Braun replied, "You get it. Thank you. This weird subculture of you gotta do flips and kill yourselves. Even though we want to do it for free without any money to support what you have to go through. The broke-ass loudmouth IWC can, in the words of DX, suck it sideways." Asked what makes Jon Moxley special, Kurt Angle said this about the AEW World Champion on his podcast. "I think he's doing great. I think he is one of the most underrated wrestlers, definitely. I think he's solid. I think he does everything incredibly well. I don't see much of a transformation from Dean Ambrose to Jon Moxley. It seems like he's still him. He has that attitude. He never took that away from himself. That's what makes him special. That arrogant, cocky look is what makes him who he is." In his book, The Best in the World at What I Have No Idea, Chris Jericho touched on a funny experience with John Cena, writing, "WWE had been promoting my return for a week with an amazing video package they'd put together using footage from Download that made Fozzy look like the biggest band on the planet, and the crowd was pumped and ready to see me. I started the show doing a promo with John Cena, and the fans responded to me like a babyface right off the bat. The promo went great, as did our main event match. It was always fun to work with him. It was also fun to share a few cocktails together, so we went out for a few celebratory drinks after the show. The night ended up being pretty tame, but that wasn't always the case when the two of us were together. I'm not exactly Bon Scott, and I don't drink all the time despite what a lot of stories might suggest, but when I let loose, it's not often someone best me when the yeah boys, vodka and ice, are flowing. But much to my chagrin, whenever I've gone head to head with Cena on the drinking fields, I usually lose. I suffered my worst defeat to John Cena a few years earlier when we toured Alaska. Despite it being 40 degrees below zero, he wore jean shorts the whole time and never complained about the cold. After a show in Anchorage, we hit the bar to keep warm and went pretty hard for a few hours. There were plenty of fans hanging around, and John started counseling a troubled young couple, giving them marital advice like a beefy Dr. Phil. They were listening intently, and after some deep soul-searching, agreed with Dr. John that they were made for each other and should call off their impending divorce. Their marriage saved, we staggered back to my room to have a few more drinks. When we got upstairs, I opened the door, and that's the last thing I remembered until I woke up fully clothed under the covers of my bed a few hours later. I had no idea where I was and almost screamed when I saw a dark figure sitting in the corner of the room. As my bloodshot eyes adjusted to the light, I realized the dark figure was John Cena, still drinking and scrolling through my iPod. In the ultimate show of drinking dominance, John had taken off my shoes, tucked me into bed, and was drinking my beer while listening to my tunes. Staying on the topic of John Cena, Jim Cornette had this to say about the prospect of Cena signing with AEW. "I swear to God right now, if Tony Khan had the opportunity to sign John Cena," Tony Khan I'm talking about, and he already had Wednesday night's TV written, he would sign John Cena and put him in a dark match on YouTube because he just didn't have room. When it comes to plans for WWE's women's division, it would be reported that those that we spoke to said that WWE was hoping to restock the women's division with several TV-ready, experienced women's wrestlers. Emma returned recently, and Fightful revealed that the company had an interest in bringing Tegan Nox in as well. Fightful reached out to Green, who claimed she hadn't been contacted for a return, and noted she still has NWA, WrestleCade, and another indie booking scheduled well into March of 2023. Following his performance against Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel, Logan Paul would take to social media to say he has a torn meniscus, MCL, and ACL. Adding to information regarding his injury, Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, Logan Paul was not as lucky, he messed up his knee. It was the table spot when he splashed through the table. From what I understand, he was great. I know I got one message where they said they didn't know if he tore his ACL, but again, he hasn't had it looked at. At first, he thought he did, but we'll probably know more in a day or two. So it may not be as bad, but it could be. The torn ACL will keep him out for over 6 months. The other one, he'll still be out for a while. Have you ever seen anyone in their third match be that good? Ryan Satin would also post this video from Paul after Crown Jewel.
It's light. All I did was tear my ACL, MCL, and potentially my meniscus.
That's nothing. That's
Yeah,
like
we'll be fine. Week max.
Maybe 8 days.
Best girlfriend ever. Thanks, babe.
Got you.
With Dave Meltzer asked about Logan Paul being Rookie of the Year, he replied that there is real stiff competition this year. Braun Breaker and Fujiwara and Dragon Gate. Hook qualifies as well. In most ears, yes. MJF chimed in writing, no one knows who's in Dragon Gate in America outside of you and 1,000 randos. Hook takes the cake, and that's coming from a guy who thinks he's a poor. The fact that I have to tweet this when I'm in immense pain after the firm attack is sad. The things you do to me, Dave. With him noticing that his woo was not in the opening intro package for Crown Jewel, Nature Boy Ric Flair wrote in a now deleted tweet, hoping this was an error. Watching the Crown Jewel, I couldn't help but notice my absence from the opening. Great show. Tremendous performances. Congrats to all the WWE superstars. If I turned Raw on Monday and I'm not on, I'll absolutely have to speak on the matter. When it comes to how WWE plans on ending Roman Reigns' run as champion, it was reported that while Vince McMahon was only thinking about Roman Reigns as champion, Triple H now has an idea of who will take the undisputed WWE Universal title off the 37-year-old. WrestleVotes tells Give Me Sport, but that isn't expected to be for a while. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.